See, you can't just pick up something from here. Let's go back to the day King was shot on the balcony, okay? Remember that famous picture where everybody was pointing up?
Yes, sir.
Now, if me and you was in Memphis tonight and we eating lunch, your family, mine, on the back, and a shot rang out, are we going to hit the floor?
Yeah, I know we.
Now, how did them folks know it wasn't going to be a second shot, okay? See what critical thinking do?
Yes, sir.
How did they know? Do you know that bullet was moving so fast, King didn't even hear it? It hit him before the sound reached him? Okay, so how did they know where it come from? Huh? The bullet came from down on the ground. Somebody got them to point the wrong way, huh? The next morning, they came in there. By the time morning, they'd moved the tree out the way because the tree would have been in the way of that window where they said it came from, and they went in there and cleaned up all the bushes. Why? Because they forgot they couldn't leave the cartridge there because the cartridge, the shell wasn't going to match the gun. They was going to leave the blame it on James L. Ray.
Right.
So the mayor and all of them sent him in there to clean all that up to get that shell, okay? And so I'm saying, so now here's what happened. King is on his way to the Poor People's March, right?
Yes, sir.
And white Southern senators, some nonsense. Look, we can't have this man coming here where he goes, there's violence. Well, you had some senators and some Congress folk, white folks, and back. Wait a minute, King has never created violence. That's always been perpetrated on him, right? So then somebody said, oh, well, we got to change that, right?
Yes, sir.
So that whole Memphis thing was staged to create a violence, you know. The invaders, when the truth come out, man, they wasn't nothing but a bunch of government provocateurs. Not all of them, but the ringleaders, government provocateurs. And out of all the riots that happened in America in the 60s, that was the only riot that the cops didn't start. They started smashing windows. The invaders, huh? And forced, now the movement can't say there's never been a demonstration that King led that broke into violence, okay?
Right.
So now that's why he was forced to come back in there, huh? That's why he had to come back in there because he was embarrassed. He had to prove to the whole world that nonviolence worked, that he could run a nonviolent demonstration, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, you know, King was killed April the 4th, right? 1968. I have a document. I had it before it was unclassified, right?
Yes, sir.
Subject, after, here's what it says, subject, after action, report, civil disorder, Operation Lantern Spike. That was the code name. This the 111 military intelligence that was sent into Memphis the 28th of March and stayed there till April the 12th. Went in before King. You hear me?
Yes, sir.
United States Army Intelligence Command. Huh? All right. They came out of Maryland, man. Huh? This here. And so when the government was not, now they can't deny it because they've been forced to admit, right?
Yes, sir.
So now, when the CNN just did that last special
Ernest
a couple of weeks ago on King.
Oh, King, okay.
And you saw King laying on the ground. And the girl asked Andy Young, said, how did you feel with Martin Luther King laying at your feet? You know what Andy said? Oh, I thought he was putting us on. I thought it was a practical joke. And I'm saying, Andy, did you really hate, huh?
He said that for real?
Wait. You know why I resent what you asked me? I just told you it's CNN. All you got to do is get it.
That's right.
All you got to do is get the damn transcript, man. Huh? Don't waste my time. Huh? I'm one of the most ethical, honest people on the planet. What, I call into your show as much as I love you and lie to you?
No, brother, I'm not saying that, brother Dick. I don't look at CNN because I know they do that.
I didn't say you look. I said you can get it. Huh?
Yes,
I don't eat at the Memphis airport, but I can fly there and eat there. I'm saying what I'm telling you, you can find. You don't have to take my word for it. I'm saying you got other people that sit and listening to the show. I'm saying all you got to do is look at Andy Young standing there, and she asked him that, and he said, I thought he... Now, let me tell you what that means. That means that Martin Luther King, one of the most public figures, eloquent on the planet, right? That he's walking out his room to go to dinner, and he would fall down on a dirty balcony floor as a practical joke in his suit. Huh? You know how much hate that boy have to have for King to say something like that? Huh?
Yes, sir.
And then Reverend Kyle, who he's going by his house to dinner, Kyle said, well, I came over and took the cigarette out of his hand because he didn't want the world to know. Look, when King walked on that balcony, ain't the world press standing there?
I mean, Earl Caldwell was there from the New York Times. He was staying at the hotel.
No,
as
baby.
You know, I already know you know. Codename Zorro.
Yeah, the world press. I'm saying the whole world press was there.
Yes, sir.
So why would I walk out on the balcony with a cigarette in my hand if I didn't want people to know I was smoking?
Well, I want to, Brother Dick, I want to play right quick. Like I saw you and Steve Cokie did some years ago about this. I want to play the clip that you provided that was broadcast, I believe, on NBC of Reverend Billy Cowles in his own words. So, you know, Reverend Billy Cowles claimed that he spent the last hour of Dr. King's life in room 306, and they made a documentary about it. So I wanted him to say in his own words what you already know. I want everybody else to hear this, too.
And then I'll explain to you where that happened, okay?
Yes, sir.
And when I finished sharing with them the last hour of Dr. King's life, or hurry, but that gave me the wonderful privilege of spending the last hour on earth. 3 preachers in a room, Abernathy, King, and Kyle. And we spent that last hour together in room 306 at the Lorraine Motel. The press is always curious, and writers, what went on? What did you talk about? I said, we just talk preacher talk. What preachers talk about when they get together? Revivals and all that. What you fixing to hear now? About 5:45, we walked on the balcony, and he was talking to people in the courtyard. He stood here, and I stood there. Only as I moved away so we could have a clear shot, the shot rang out. Thank you. I turned around and then knocked him back on the balcony.
So that's what Billy Cowles said.
Now, listen to this. First now,
he
put one finger up and said, I stood here and King stood there. Only as I moved away so he could have a clear shot. Now, had he not said nothing after that, you could have thought he was talking about a photographer, right? He said, as I moved away so he could have a clear shot, the shot rang out. Okay? All right, so now, let me tell you where that came from. A woman called me from Jackson, Mississippi, because Reverend Carl and them was playing up the April the 4th rally in Memphis, right?
Yes, sir.
So they went there and held a press conference. Well, James Orange, one of King's lieutenants, was down there with a group of SCLC people. So they went to the press conference. When he heard Billy Cowles say that, he was talking about killing him. The girl ran to a payphone and called me and said, Dick, James Orange is talking about kill Reverend Cowles. Wow. I said, put him on the phone. And James Orange said, I said, James, hear me. Listen to me. What happened? And he told me. I said, James, I want you to hear me. Before you do anything, I want you to compose yourself and go to the networks. All of them was there. Go to NBC and tell them who you are, and don't look angry or nothing, and say, we'd like to get a put of that tape there for the archives, right? You hear me?
Yes, sir.
Because if you don't get it now, it will be destroyed, and the world will never be able to hear it, huh?
Yes, sir.
And I said, when you get it, you have the sister call me, huh? And then I sent my people down there immediately, bring that tape back here, huh?
Yes, sir.
That's how you able to hear that now, okay? And so, again, I'm saying that when you sit and you look and see how they've been able to turn this thing around and mess it up and take it all upside down and everywhere, right? Now, you got a pencil and a piece of paper on you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm going to see if I can find something here to let you jot down, and then we'll get back into the okay, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want you to write these names down.
Yes, sir.
Now, we over there with Gaddafi, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gaddafi, he's been CIA ever since he was a little boy.
Mm.
Right?
All right.
You hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Did you see where they found $62 billion Gaddafi's money in a Washington, D.C. bank? Now, would he be that stupid to keep his money here knowing they're going to take it? Oh, look, now, here's one you write down.
Yes, sir.
First name is Charles McKee, M-C-K-E-E.
Okay, I got it.
He's from Youngstown, Ohio.
Yes, sir.
His mother's name is Beulah McKee. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's 7 names, but I just haven't been able to go to the warehouse, so I'm going to give you 5 of them, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay? The second name is Matthews Gannon, Gannon, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The third name is Ronald. Let me spell the last name, L-A-R-I-L-B-E-R-E.
Okay.
That's the third name, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fourth name is Donald O'Connor. Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
And the fifth name is Joseph Curry, C-U-R-R-Y. Those are 5 of the 7 people that was on Lockerbie Pan Am 103. Those were DEA agents, been subpoenaed back by a federal judge to come back and testify how they was running drugs in this country from Afghanistan, right?
Oh, wow.
Now, when I sit on a show, you got to go around the world and give these names out if it wasn't true. And there's a book out, okay?
Mm-hmm.
There's a book out called The Trail of the Octopus, okay, that runs this whole story of what really happened. So all that crap that we talking about, huh? And I say that to say that this is where we live. This is what we, I know this. Don't nobody else know this? So now, let's go back into King now.
Yes, sir.
After King is dead, Abernathy writes a nasty book on King. You aware of that?
Yes, sir. I remember that book. Yes, sir.
Okay. And he's talking about the sex that King had the night before he was killed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he said the sister, they got into a fight and said he knocked the sister down, right?
Mm-hmm.
And said, and she leapt up off the floor. Black folks don't say leapt, they say leaped.
Right.
So that's why some white person wrote that.
Mm.
Okay. Now, thank God for the sister. Sad for Abernathy. The woman there in Memphis got a lawyer and sued Abernathy and the publisher. Did you know that?
Yes, I heard a little bit. I'm vaguely familiar.
Now, you know the reason it didn't go to court?
Why?
And the truth didn't come out? Because Abernathy was killed. They say he died of natural causes and hospital. That's crap. And once he died, the suit stopped, okay?
Mm.
All right? See how vicious it is, man?
Yes, sir.
And so when you stop and think about, the hatred, and so if you look at Abernathy's book, that come right out of the CIA and the FBI files, okay?
Mm.
All right. Now we got this new piece of filth that just came out on Malcolm.
Yes, sir. So you're talking about A Life of Reinvention, Malcolm X by Dr.
Listen, wait, read it slow, though.
Mm-hmm.
What is
A Life of Reinvention.
Hold it. Reinvention, right?
Right, reinvention.
Wait. Reinvent means I'm gonna make you over, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what they said, right? So that's why you see in the book we're going to make Malcolm over and say that Malcolm was not only gay, he had a white lover. The reason Malcolm was mad at Elijah Muhammad because Elijah Muhammad knocked up one of his girlfriends. See what they talk about when they say make over?
Yes, sir.
All right, now, listen to this. This is really cold-blooded, man.
Mm-hmm.
the guy who wrote this book, Manny Marable, Marable, right?
Yes, sir.
PhD, professor at Columbia University. Well, let me tell you about the Ivy League schools. All the Ivy League schools, not almost. Every Ivy League school, Harvard, Yale, Princeton, all of them was created by slave owners for their dumb white boys. Huh?
Yes, sir. I agree with that.
Okay? Now, when you look at the new book on Malcolm, right?
Yes, sir.
On let me find the page here. He says that he talked about Malcolm's daddy. I want you to hear this because when you start reading, you can hear things that don't make sense coming from me, right?
Yes, sir.
So he goes on to say that Malcolm's daddy, Earl Little, Earl Little, married Malcolm's mother in 1909. Got that?
Yes, sir.
1909, right? He married a local African-American woman, Daisy Mason, right? Now, you know what's wrong with that? Wouldn't nobody have to say in 1909 you married a Negro woman, right?
Right.
Who else was you going to marry? A whole lot of places had law you couldn't marry a white woman, right? So what black man would say that and just this was written by a white boy?
No, okay, brother, I think he meant that because Earl Little was married before, according to Marable. He's talking about not Malcolm's mother, but his first wife he married in 1909.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
But I'm saying, why would you have to say he's married to a African American? Well, you got to qualify that.
That's true, because, I mean, you talk about Jack Johnson, they made the man act because Jack Johnson was doing white girls. You're right about that.
Did you hear me? That's what I'm saying. That's how vicious, okay?
Yes, sir.
So then what Mary Marable didn't know is how white supremacy worked. The book is going to come out on April the 4th, this month, on the 43rd anniversary of King's assassination, right? But they killed him on April the 1st. Is that called April Fool's Day?
Yeah, yes, sir.
So now he says that the two brothers that really killed Malcolm, they ain't never went to jail. Well, we who do the research know the CIA killed him, huh? And I'll prove something to you in a minute. We know that, right? Now, so what's he saying? He's saying that the CIA didn't do it, huh?
Yes, sir.
Now, here's what happened. Somebody threw a smoke bomb in the back of the room at the Ottoman Ballroom, right?
Yes, sir.
First, let me tell you a story. Malcolm called me at 6 o'clock in the morning that Sunday. I was working in a nightclub called Basin Street East in New York. Sunday night was my closing night, huh? He said, Brother Greg, you just wanted to make sure you be down at the ball. I said, Malcolm, let me tell you something, man. I'm not going to be there, man. I'm not going to give the government two for the price of one. I'm so sure they're going to hit you today, Malcolm. I had my wife book me into Chicago at a college out by the airport for $1,000 when I get $5,000 a speech, just so I will not even be tempted to come in there. And when Adam Clayton Powell get through preaching his sermon, I'm going to call him and tell him don't go nowhere around there, right? So I'm in Chicago when they handed me the note. Now, let's get back to the ballroom.
Yes, sir.
They threw a smoke bomb. And while everybody was running in commotion, these two black guys ran up to the stage. Malcolm was up on the stage, okay? And they're on the floor. They're shooting up. When we finally forced the government.
Hey, everybody, we're going to get Dick Gregory back on. See, just by he about to tell the truth, the powers that be cut us off. We're going to get this brother back on. So before we get him back on, I'm going to play something that Dr. Marable said about his book. He was talking about Dr. Marable talking about Alice Haley, because I had the privilege of interviewing Dr. Manny Marable in July of 2007 while he was in the process of putting together his book. So I want to play a little snippet of Dr. Marable on Alex Haley, and we'll get back to Brother Dick Gregory. But fight the power that be, and like Flavor Flav said, can't trust it. We'll be right back.
Haley's objective was entirely different. Haley was a Republican. He was black, but he was a Republican, liberal Republican. He was an integrationist. Malcolm was a black nationalist. Haley despised what the Nation of Islam stood for, but he was fascinated and riveted by the charismatic personality of Malcolm. So the two men collaborated on the book for different reasons. As the book was being written, Malcolm's view of the nation changed, and the listeners will recall that Malcolm was silenced by Elijah Muhammad after the so-called chickens come home to roost statement by Malcolm on the death of John F. Kennedy. This was simply used as an excuse to eliminate Malcolm from the organization by Elijah Muhammad. When Malcolm departed the nation in March 1964, and then the next month going to Mecca on a Hajj, a religious pilgrimage, he transformed his faith to that of Sunni Islam, Orthodox Islam. And so therefore the purpose of the autobiography was not to praise Elijah Muhammad, but rather to explain why he had changed. And so Malcolm, supposedly, according to Haley, himself eliminated 3 chapters that he and Haley had prepared when he was still in the Nation of Islam and jettisoned them from the book. Now, it's hard for us to make a critical judgment if that's true or not, because after all, Malcolm was dead after February 21st, 1965. We only have Haley's word to go on it. Haley was hostile to Malcolm in the Nation anyway. And the chapters contained critical political information about how Malcolm wanted to build a broadly based Black United Front to fight against racism. I always, for years, would read the autobiography and sense, something's missing from this book. You know what was missing? Malcolm was the most overtly political personality of his generation. He was building a new organization, the OAAU, the Organization of Afro-American Unity. Answer this question. Where is the political program of the OAAU in his book? It's not there, is it? Where is the political strategy to unite and empower the black community? It's not in his autobiography. He talks around it, but he doesn't talk to it. The answer is that a lot of that was deleted. So where are these chapters? Well, as of last time I checked, they're in a safe in Detroit in the possession of an attorney, Gregory Reed, who purchased them in late 1992 for $100,000 at an auction after the death of Alex Haley, and he picked them up at the estate auction.
I mean, actually, was it done after Malcolm's death, the deletion of these 3 chapters? Well,
Haley says that Malcolm had agreed to it, so we have only his word to go on. But you also have to keep in mind Haley was hostile to Malcolm Malcolm's politics when he was in the Nation of Islam. So I'm not certain.
Well, did Haley have connection to the FBI? Was he like a FBI agent?
He was not an agent, but he was an informant. And if you have obviously read, or at least part of Living Black History, my book that came out in 2006,
yes, sir,
where I stunned many people with the evidence that I found at the University of Tennessee Archives in Knoxville, in the Anne Romaine papers, and also in Haley's papers, that Haley in 1962 was approached by the FBI, and they funneled information to him and a white author, Alfred Balk, to write an attack on the Nation of Islam entitled The Black Merchants of Hate, which appeared in the Saturday Evening Post magazine in late February 1963. And it was information from the FBI. So he was an agent. He was an informant, in effect, a purveyor of misinformation. And it was that man who went on to then, of course, write Roots.
Right, and they had some trouble with that, too, I mean, as far as...
Yes, indeed, being sued by a British author successfully, settlement out of court for over $1 million for plagiarism of extensive writing from the British author's work. So Haley has a very mixed history.
And that was Dr. Manny Marable in his own voice on our show back in July 2007, talking about his then yet-to-be-released book, Malcolm X, The Reinvention. And we got Brother Dick Gregory back on, like the powers that be. So like, well, Public Enemy said back in the day, you got to fight the powers that be. So, Brother Dick, are you there?
Yeah, let me just say two things. What I was going to tell you right before. What were we talking about right before the thing went down?
Yes, sir.
Now here. So all the bullets in Malcolm is going down.
Mm-hmm.
The brothers with the gun is shooting up. They're on the floor.
Yes, sir.
Those bullets came. The CIA had admitted that 2 weeks before the Malcolm was there, they rented the Audubon Ballroom, and that's where they cut the holes in the wall, and that's where that was from. Now, Manny Merrill gets hundreds of thousands of dollars to do this book. He don't know that, okay?
Mm-hmm.
He don't know. You see what they do? You see that interview they gave you? You heard?
Mm-hmm.
You would almost believe that this brother's cool, right?
Right.
Until you stop and you say, wait a minute. Now, if I know that Alex Haley didn't write Roots and didn't write Malcolm, okay?
Mm-hmm.
See, the thing you asked him, he said he hated Malcolm. Listen, he wasn't just working. They recruited Alex Haley out of naval intelligence, okay?
Right.
Now, how I know that and he don't know it, right? All right? Now, when he became world renowned, it was because the articles, while he's supposed to have been with Malcolm, he was doing for Playboy magazine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? He didn't write none of them articles in Playboy magazine. Okay? That was the editor of Playboy, Murray Fisher, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who wrote that, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, when the book come out, Murray Fisher wrote the book, all of it, right? Now, let's take a look at it. When the brother said that he plagiarized, right, the author. Now listen to this. He Roots, Kunta that came out of the book called The African, Harold Portlander, right?
Yes, sir.
When he said he sued him, it wasn't $1 million. He sued him, and they settled out of court for $650,000, and he had to admit, okay, that he took the stuff out of the book, that he had never done none of that stuff he said in the book and the whole thing, right?
Yes, sir.
And so now the trial lasted, I think it was 2 weeks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the great part about this here is this trial took place in federal court, right?
Yes, sir.
So that's public domain. All you got to do is get up and you find out the date of the trial took place, the judge's name. During the trial, presiding U.S. District Judge Robert J. Ward stated, copyright, this is, period. In a later interview, he told BBC television, Judge Ward said Alex Haley perpetrated the biggest hoax in the history of the public, right? And now this is documented. This is federal court. He told him, he told him, go settle this or I'm going to get you for perjury because we have evidence. Told him from his lawyer that you had this book 18 months before you testified that you ever heard of it, okay? Now, when Malcolm came out on page 122, he listed Dick Gregory.
Right.
In other words, Malcolm supposed to told him, Big Gregory told me about Elijah Muhammad's women. Well, I lived around the corner from Elijah, so I went around with the book. I said, man, I guess the government's trying to make y'all mad at me so they can kill me and blame it on y'all.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I love Malcolm. I love you. I've been knowing you. Well, I would tell you something on Malcolm before I tell Malcolm something on you.
Mm.
You know? Now, I'm saying, now, this is very important.
Yes, sir.
Did you hear when he said stuff was being sold, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me tell you something very important. There's been few books at that time that have made as much royalty money. You hear me? As Alex Haley. All over the world is making millions of dollars, even now, right?
Yes, sir.
The roots, the TV, the whole thing, right? Now, let's think about it. Let's say you write a book that becomes a runaway bestseller. You're making $50, $60 million a year royalties, okay?
Mm.
You owe me $10,000, right?
Yes, sir.
But you're an alcoholic, you're a drunk, you're a drug addict, and you're a gambler, right?
Mm.
So you broke, right? Now, I'm not going to have my lawyers auction off your possession because every 6 months you get a new royalty check, right?
Mm-hmm.
So all I got to do is go into federal court and attach your royalties, and I get the money before you get it. So why did they have to auction? Because Alex didn't have nothing.
Mm.
Huh?
Yes, sir.
Now, how come Malvo didn't put that in the book? I knew it, but he didn't know it. See, all of them perpetrate fraud, but they do it just enough. Okay?
Mm.
So what his job, see, when they killed Malcolm, all the stuff changed, and nobody didn't realize that wasn't what Malcolm was telling him, right?
Right.
So now, all at once now, it didn't kill Malcolm. It made Malcolm big, right?
Mm-hmm.
Malcolm got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So now they got to what did they say? What's the name of the book?
The Reinvention.
Okay, now they got to reinvent him, take it because white folks all over the world is reading about Malcolm X.
Mm.
So now they're going to make this black nationalist a gay in love with a white boy, huh?
Yes, sir.
All right, all this crazy stuff, okay? And because he comes from academia, right?
Yes, sir.
And now when he named the two brothers that killed Malcolm, you know why they had to kill him? Because there'd be a lawsuit. They would have to come before. You hear me? The same way they did Abernathy.
Right, exactly. Wow, that's crazy. I ain't gonna never write a book about this type of stuff then, Brother Dick. I'm sorry.
So, wait a minute. He says, Malvo said in his book that Malcolm had sex with this little young girl the night before they killed him.
Oh, well,
Everybody knew that Malcolm told everybody the government, the FBI, and the CIA was running surveillance on him 24/7, huh?
Yes, sir.
Now, let me tell you something I know about Malcolm, huh?
Mm-hmm.
All my life I hear people talk about all your 90% of your billionaires, you okay?
Mm-hmm.
Went bankrupt 5 or 6 times. You ever heard that statement?
Yes, sir, I heard that. Mm-hmm.
Now, nobody ever write a book on how they went bankrupt. They write a book on how they made $1 billion, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why is this thug pimp punk writing a book about negative stuff? You see, let's go back to his early life. Hey, man, you know how many pimps and hustlers and punks that was in jail having sex with men and all that kind of stuff? That was the lay of the land then.
Right.
That Malcolm came out and changed. Whatever they said he was doing, he changed. He didn't sell dope. Malcolm, under the auspices of Elijah Muhammad, straightened out that whole East Coast with brothers. Huh?
Mm.
Now, this is something that you can pull up. There was a big rumble where some Muslim brothers had been beat up by cops in Brooklyn. I don't know if killed or what. 10,000 people showed up at the police station.
Right.
The mayor called the governor and said, call the president. If you get the National Guard and the Army in here, we don't think we can save New York, but we don't think we can save New York City, but we might can save New York. Just then, Malcolm jumped out of the car and ran up on the platform, raised his hand, said, brothers and sisters, go home. Go home. We'll take care of it. You know what the editorial was the next day of the New York Times?
What was it?
they told what Malcolm did, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they said, no Negro in America should have that much power. Now, you can pull that. That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Not praised him, and that's when you know when the death thing was on him. No Negro in America should have that much power to tell 10,000 people after we already have ordered for the troops to come in, okay?
Right.
Now, let me tell you about Malcolm, man. Malcolm didn't cuss. Malcolm was witty and clever and funny, but you'd be uncomfortable being around him. He's so bashful, huh?
Mm.
Polite. He called everybody yes, sir. And he called white folks yes, sir. Black folks yes, sir. Old folks, young folks, everybody yes, sir. Oh, no, sir. Yes, sir. That was Malcolm, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Now, you're going to take, at the end of his life, when for as long as there's somebody on the planet, Malcolm, not this thug punk Marabou with his PhD. Don't nobody remember him. But Malcolm, that's what they did with this book. They trying to shut Malcolm's spirit down because what they want to do is have the libraries take out the first Malcolm book and put this one in. See how it works?
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's what you can do when you have that kind of money and that type of power, huh?
Yes, sir.
And so when you listen to that interview that he gave, you almost don't see nothing tricky. Matter of fact, he's bad-mouthing who? He's bad-mouthing Alex Haley. Why? Because he know Alex Haley ain't wrote none of that.
Mm.
Okay? And then, like I said, when you get the when you call Rio, just leave her your number, and I'll put this stuff in the mail to you.
No, I already faxed it. I faxed it. I talked to her today. I faxed my information over to her today.
Good. And now you'll see all the stuff in there about what the judge, what the settlement was, and why he had to auction off. He was $2 million in debt. Huh? How can you be $2 million in debt when in a few months you're going to get another big royalty check, huh?
Yeah, that's weird. That don't make no sense.
Well, it makes sense when you understand the truth, huh?
Yes,
and
sir.
understand how it works. So what they just gave us is a PhD, you know, that they send him out there doing interviews with people like you and da-da-da. And then 3 days before the book come out, he was booked, first interview he was booked to do when the book come out was on the Today Show. He was dead. Died on Friday.
Okay.
You ain't asking him no questions.
Mm.
The two guys, the guy's wife was saying, how could he say my husband did something like that? Well, you can't sue it now because he's dead, okay? So that's
he left a bestseller, right? He left a bestseller, though. He made the publishers rich, and he changed, like, he reinvented history.
He reinvented history, but you know all you got to do is make a bestseller.
Like, what you got to do?
His old white boys get together and just decide who's the bestseller.
Like who's going to win a horse race or something. Who's going to win the championship?
Yeah.
Right, I got you. Mm-hmm. So I want to play what he said about Malcolm X sexuality. This is like back in 2007 when I asked him about this.
Okay.
This way here, I want to get your opinion, Brother Dick, because you're very insightful. And you got a discerning spirit.
I also like you brought up the queer thing. I know I wanted to ask you this earlier, though, in relation to Malcolm, like everybody, and recently, I remember I talked to a professor at the university that I attended, and he was animate. He was a black Muslim himself. Mm-hmm. He stood by the fact that Malcolm X was bisexual, and, like the letter that came out several years ago with him writing to Elijah Muhammad about his marriage problems, which actually, included his sexual problems, allegedly written in his hand or typed in his hand.
Yes, it
was.
in
59. Are you going to address that? Is sexuality, Malcolm's sexuality?
Yeah, the book will talk about that. What you're referring to originally was a book by an author named Bruce Perry, entitled Malcolm, and with the exception of one source that was actually from Shorty Jarvis, actually the character in Malcolm's autobiography who was named Shorty. There is some evidence that is presented in this book that suggests not that Malcolm was bisexual, but that he engaged in intimate actions that were homosexual. I think that to a certain extent you have to separate those kinds of actions from an identity that is homosexual or gay. For example, men in prison frequently have what would be called homosexual sex. Does that make them homosexuals? Well, depends, yes and no. Some people would say yes. Other people would say, well, once you leave the prison, then you're in the heterosexual world. What you do in prison really doesn't matter. So, I'm not. I don't want to get into a debate about it, but Perry basically, for the most part, cites unnamed sources, and that's not what a historian does. That's what fearmongers do.
Right.
And so I address Perry's charges in the book.
What do you think about that, Brother Dick? This is back in 2007.
Again, listen, here's what you got. Here's what you have.
Mm-hmm.
You have one thug, okay, that's bidding, the government's bidding, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't work because Malcolm just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger around the world.
Yes,
so
sir.
then they bring in another thug to do it from a different level, huh? Okay? To do it from a different level, I mean, he beat around the bush when he's saying, look, there's a lot of men and women in jail that you have a lot of men who's in the army that masturbate, that wouldn't masturbate if they were close to some women.
That's right. That's right.
So you have men in jail that's having sex in jail. They got nothing to do about homosexual. It's just that thing they want, that instant gratification when they get out. Okay, so he kind of beat around the bush on that. Well, maybe he was, and maybe he wasn't. And then when you read his book, he got a lot of innuendos in his.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but that's what you do when you're doing the bidding. Now, you don't know if somebody, look, suppose Dick Gregory was a pedophile, right?
Right.
And the government flashed something in front of me and said, here's what we need you to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
See, they can create stuff on people, huh?
Mm-hmm.
They can make you think you participated in a murder, man. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You can be out having a party and wake up and there's a dead woman in the room with you and you ain't had nothing to do with it, but they make you believe in this. Don't worry about it, but here's what we'll have you do. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Here's what. You remember the case about 2 years ago, in Atlanta, where the cops went in that 92-year-old grandmother's house and killed her?
I can't forget it.
And realized, wait a minute, realized they was in the wrong house, right?
Yes, sir.
So they went down the street and got a brother, thug, on parole and said, man, we really effed up. We just killed the old one. We need you to say you bought drugs there.
Mm-hmm.
The next day, the black man and the black police, he sided with the police, and if it wasn't for that woman's daughter and the preacher that went and talked to him and made him recant his story, to this day, that family would have been disgraced, okay?
Mm.
So that's how they do it. And then they make this one seem more integrity than the other one. But how many people, until they heard this show, didn't know that Alex Haley was a trick, huh?
Right. For years, it's been out there like the information is already out there, but we don't access it.
Well,
so we still trust the powers that be to tell us the truth.
Yeah, but you see, that's what heroes, that's when you worship somebody other than yourself, other than your God, okay?
Yes, sir.
And so consequently, when you sit and look, just like out of all the lives, you know how many lies they have put out on a whole lot of people, man, okay? I mean, everybody and their mama knew Abraham Lincoln was gay. You know they're just coming out with that now?
Oh, yeah, right.
his handyman, the black dude he brought with him, was his lover. When he died, he got special bills passed to put him in the Arlington Cemetery, right? But you mean you're gonna wait 200 years? Okay. But you gonna get a brother to come. Look here, Malcolm. This is what, and he didn't know that while he was talking to you, they had already marked the day he was gonna die.
Right. Because that book supposed to came out in 2009 supposedly, but they kept on pushing it. He got sick or whatever, and they pushed it back to now. So that's interesting.
And you know, he had a double lung transplant. You know that, right?
Yes, sir.
That was successful, right?
Yes, sir.
So they can't make you believe he died from that. Okay?
Wow. Like he said, his wife said it was unexpected. But also, how did
his wife said what?
It was unexpected. Like they thought he was over whatever it was ailing him. Cause like
she
he got
did,
a double lung
but then
transplant.
she changed it. After they got to it, she changed it. 3 days later, New Orleans.
Wow.
That's
but they
not what
did
she
put it out there
said.
real quick, Brother Dick. He died on Friday, right? And they had it in the New York Times on the same day, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's real quick.
And so when you stop and think about, how But it won't work because there's something so huge and so big about Malcolm, huh? You know, it's like, let me tell you, in Washington, D.C., 98% of all the gay and lesbian bars is run by the FBI and the CIA. Okay?
Oh, wow.
Now, let's say that somebody don't like you because of the stuff you do in the government, right? The truth, right?
Yes, sir.
So somebody offer you a job here, NBC, CBS, ABC, and they bring you here for an interview, right? And they said, hey, look here, the man was really fine. Then they put like $5,000 in your pocket, you know, man, but they said, hate to interrupt you, but da-da-da. So that means cash, no tax, no nothing, right? So all at once they said, look, we got some friends coming by, and we're going to have some drinks and stuff and meet. So we're going to meet over here. You don't know it's a gay bar, right?
Right.
So now you sitting there, and then all at once somebody come up and say, oh, my God, and hug you and say, oh, I'm so sorry. I thought I went to high school with you, right? Click, 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 click. Okay? There's the pictures, right? Now let me run this story down to you real quick to show you how it works.
Yes, sir.
I go in to do a full day's speech for the 7-day Adventist in Detroit. Now, they ain't part of it, right?
Yes, sir.
So I go in, and I start off at 7 o'clock that morning, right? So I got to get in the night before, right? So they said, well, you're going to be all day. We got blah, blah, blah. We got all these places to go, all these schools, right? And then at night we'll end up doing a public thing, right? So we running, so I leave the hotel at 7:50, right? So I'm out there, so it's so wet. I'm so wet, it's so hot. So then the lady says at 4 o'clock, said, well, now we got a 3-hour break till 7, and said, we'd like to take you to dinner. I said, no, I'm soaking wet. Let me go home to the hotel and take a shower. Now I'm not supposed to go back to the hotel, right? I'm supposed to be with them so I go back to the hotel at 4 o'clock, right? And I take my clothes off and open up the closet to pull out a new thing of dry clothes, and I see a pair of women's panties and some women's shoes in my closet. Now, I don't know if they were there and I didn't see them, or if the maid accidentally left them there, found them in the drawers, right? So, but knowing how they work, right, I called my wife first and said, let me tell you something I found. It might not mean nothing. Then I called downstairs and asked for the manager. The manager came up, and I told him this is what I found, and now I need the number to the police to say. He said, no hotel want no cops in there. We'll call. I said, no, it got to be on my credit card that I can prove I've called the police. Right? So I called the police. Now, that night, let's say had I not come back, now I just want you to pick up the paper and read what I'm fixing to tell you you're going to read, yeah?
Yes, sir.
That night, I come back in, go to bed, right? 2 o'clock in the morning, police knocking on my door. I go to the door. They stand there with a half-naked white woman all beat up, right? And says, Mr. Gregory, this lady here, we just had a complaint that you beat her up and trying to have sex with her. I said, me? Man, I ain't never heard of her. Now, they said, well, can we come in and look around? Why wouldn't I let them in, right? Then they find her panties and her shoes in my room, right? Now, when you wake up this morning and turn on the news, you see Dick Gregory been led out of a Detroit hotel in handcuffs, right? Anytime you get busted at 4 o'clock in the morning and all 3 networks is there, you know how hard it is to get a network at 12 noon? That's already been prearranged, right?
Yes, sir.
So everybody in the world see Dick Gregory, right? Getting arrested. Now, they take me to jail, right? Meanwhile, they interviewing the woman, right? And here's what the woman say. Oh, me and Dick, well, we've been knowing each other for 15 years. You know, we snorted coke together. But he called me and told me he was in town, and I told him I'm married now, you know. And he said, well, we don't have to worry about no sex. We just do some cocaine, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I came by, and that's when he jumped on me and took my panties off, and I was able to get away, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, you still see, no, that ain't my man. So now I get out of jail. I don't know what's been on TV, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, I get out, and they ask me about her. I say, I ain't never met her in my life, right? Now, let's go back 5 years from now, before this, right? See, this is why you can't beat them, man, if you ain't tuned into your universe. 5 years before that, this is a mythical story, right? I'm in Kansas City, Missouri, right?
Yes, sir.
I finished doing a speech. The white dude walk up to me and say, oh, God, my son told me if I heard you, you could say, I got 20 companies about to go out of business because I don't understand diversity. After hearing you, oh, my God, you the answer. But it is late. Let me come by in the morning. We have breakfast, right?
Mm-hmm.
I need you to work. I need you to come to all of my companies, right? So now, next morning, phone ring, right? And one of the other parts of the story I left out, but I'll give it back to you in a minute.
Yes, sir.
Accident. So now he comes, and I tell people, when you're in a public place, you know, never sit at the bar. You know how you can go to a place, you can either go to the bar and sit, or sit at the counter or sit at a table, right? You're not responsible who's sitting next to you at a bar, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now, I go, he's sitting at the bar, so I go, we talk, and he said, oh, God, man, I couldn't hardly sleep last night. Said, here, I'd like to give you $25,000 for each one of my companies you come to and do a seminar, right?
Mm-hmm.
Said, well, wait a minute, my son's getting married. Let me see, let me go out to his car and get my calendar, right?
Yes, sir.
So he goes to the car to get his calendar. Here's a white woman sitting next to me. She said, hey, Gregory, oh, my God, my daddy. And she hugged me and kissed me, and the camera's going click, 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 click. I ain't never met her, right?
Right.
Now, let's move up 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Till I get out of jail. And I say, I don't know her. And that evening on the evening news, they're showing pictures of me and her hugging at the bar. And a doorman said, oh, they've always hung out here for years. They said, you know. Now, well, I forgot to tell you, when I was in the Detroit hotel, I called the manager.
Mm-hmm.
He said, well, just a minute, let me come back. So he came back with something like a purse over his arm and a little thing like a credit card, and he stuck it in the door. And he said, this here, give me a printout every time this door been open. He said, let me see. Oh, yeah, you came in last night at 11:50. You went out at 6:50 this morning. Mm-hmm. The maid came in at 10:03. The maid went, here it is. Somebody came in here at 2:30. I said, what do you mean? He said, it wasn't one of us. It's not one of our markers. See how it works?
Mm.
Now, how do you know that? Okay? How do you know when you read this, but they tell you Dick Gregory, and you sitting looking at a white woman that I say I don't know, then they come up with pictures that I do. That's how comfortable they are. Huh?
Yes, sir.
That's how do you know how many people the CIA and the FBI can find and make look more like you than you?
I know, like, I just know just reading the history, they always had doubles of people who go.
Okay, so now,
mm-hmm.
when somebody slash you this great Negro leader, right?
Right.
So 50 years from now, the stuff gets unlit. Who do we know? Nobody takes the time to spend the money to say, let's investigate. Let's investigate these tapes, huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay, CIA, they got actors that make like that's me in the room having sex, right?
That's true. You're right.
And so what I'm saying is that that's what we living with. That's the price we pay where technology is. But I'm saying I don't know why the universal God touched me. And I know Malcolm, huh? I know his integrity when he made his transition, huh? When he made his transition. I know Malcolm didn't. I was drinking a fifth of scotch a day when I knew Malcolm. I was smoking 4 packs of cigarettes a day, huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay, The only reason I never did no drugs in my life is that wasn't no room for it. No reason I ain't never had a white woman up to this day in my life, and I'll be 80 years old next year because I'm scared of white women. I heard them black folks talking about how they used to cut black folks' testicles off and all that, and I dated a white girl in college and took her to the movie, and the whole row of seats was shaking. I didn't know that was me. And then when I found out that was me, she didn't know it was me. I said, God, I didn't know you felt that way about white women, but I tell you what, you let me out of here tonight with it. You never have to worry about me dating her until this day. You hear me?
Yes, sir.
Did you hear me?
Yeah, I hear
it
you.
got nothing to do with the white lady. It got something to do with the fear that I heard old black folks talking about what white folks had done to them.
You knew this before OJ, though, and we still don't get the lesson.
Huh?
I mean, you could have told OJ something.
No, see, the OJ thing ain't what you think it is.
That's true.
Did you know OJ could not read or write?
Yeah, I know he was a thug in San Francisco going around robbing.
Wait, hold. Mm-hmm. You didn't hear me. I said, did you know he couldn't read or write?
No, sir. I didn't know. Yeah, no, sir.
Okay. Did you know his godfather was Willie Mays, huh?
Yes, sir. I knew that.
When he finished high school, Willie Mays slipped him into a community college, okay? For 2 years, and when nobody looking, he eased him in USC, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, do you know how good a football player he was? Here's a cat that only went there for 2 years and broke all the 4-year-old records.
Oh, he was phenomenal. Yeah, he's phenomenal.
No, wait a minute. No, hear me. Let's go back now. He couldn't read or write. Did you see the O.J. Simpson trial?
Yes, sir.
Didn't you see him writing all the way through the trial?
Yes, sir.
Then if he can't read or write, who was that? Okay? That's what I'm telling you about now, how tricky this stuff is, okay?
Oh, wow.
All right, now, here's a trick. They called Nicole Simpson's mother the next day, right? And they said, when was the last time you talked to your daughter? She said, last night about 11:30. Now, that don't fit the time span, right? So she said, well, how do you know it was 11:30? She said, because my husband and I went to dinner an hour and a half from our house, and we didn't leave the restaurant till 9:30. So we couldn't have got back here before 11 o'clock. Do you know those phone records you can't trace because they in a federal court in Dallas, Texas, on the license, lock and key, labeled as national security? Now, let me tell you a blessing I had. More Russians live in Seattle, Washington than any other city in America, right? So some kind of way I was buying some luggage, and I missed my plane. So the black brother that brought me there said, Greg, let's go to dinner tonight. I won't be able to take you to the airport, but I'll hire a limousine service, right? So when I go down the limousine service, this white Russian, right? So we in the car and we talking, and we going to the airport, and so he bring up O.J. Simpson, right? So I thought he knew all the stuff I said in our investigation about O.J. Simpson. I thought he just greasing me for a tip, right?
Right.
And so I said, you know who I am? He said, did Gregory? I said, no, you know who I am before they said, no, I never heard of you. I said, why are you talking to me about the O.J. Simpson trial? I'm one of the leading authorities on what really happened. He said, my brother was the number 2 man in the KGB, okay? And he said the night that happened, the Russian satellite that just happened to have been over Southern California and filmed the whole thing. Okay? He said, we got in touch with the State Department, and said they haven't got back in touch with us yet. And I said, well, if I put a group together, you think I can hook up and buy that film? Do you hear what I just said?
I heard it. Yes, sir.
Okay, so I don't know why the universe just put me in certain spots where I just happen to see things. Now, let's go back over O.J. for a minute. If you go back to the library, and this is very important. When O.J. Simpson's mother came down for Nicole's funeral, that's before O.J. had been indicted, right? Go back to the library tomorrow and look that up. She had a heart attack, man. They had to put her on a medical jet and fly her back to San Diego. Why? When she looked at that thing supposed to be OJ and realized it wasn't. The whole time he was in jail for 18 months, she never come to visit him. You hear me?
Mm.
And then when his trial come up, here's a guy that killed 2 white folks. Do you know every day he came to trial in a brand new tailor-made outfit?
Mm.
Okay? So, you see, they understand the brain. They understand certain things to do, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And then they do it. That's why I'm looking at this stuff with Trump. There's something more to it, huh? See, these folks know what make white folks mad, make a lot of black folk glad. So when OJ was free, black folks were screaming, white folks was mad. Then when they turned around and found him guilty of the other thing, okay, see how it works? And so, one more thing I got here, and then I'm going to let you go.
Oh, yes, sir.
I haven't ran over yet, have I?
Oh, no. I want something to play for you right quick before you go, too, but go ahead.
Okay, now here's what I want you to do. And when we hang up, would you call me back? I need to run something past you.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
Now listen to this.
Mm-hmm.
Got a pencil and piece of paper?
Yes, sir.
Okay, New York Times.
New York Times.
International edition, Sunday, May the 10th, 1992. Now for the listeners, for your readers,
okay,
we're going to say this again. The New York Times, International edition, Sunday, May the 10th, 1992. All right, now, when Rodney King got beat up by the cops, there was 2 other guys in the car with him, right? A couple of days later, they showed up mysteriously dead, right?
Okay.
So I said, well, wait a minute. My man, I said, calling me you up, I said, you know, man, I got a problem with this case. I said, here's 2 people from Sweden, never been to this country before, just happened to come in that night, checked in the hotel, and they filmed that out their window. And at 7 o'clock, it was playing all over the world. How did 2 tourists know who to take that to at 7 o'clock in the morning? Then we get to checking out Rodney King and find out 7-8 weeks before he got beat up by the cops, a white judge sentenced him to 8 years in jail, and nobody can figure out what he was doing out. 2 weeks later, right? Then we find out that the people that did the filming was Australian secret police heavily connected to the CIA. Now, you got that? You follow that?
Yes, sir.
Now, then later on, the riots broke out, right? Okay, now, what's the date of that paper I gave you just now?
May 10th, 1992.
What paper is it?
New York Times International.
Okay, and here's what you'll see in it. Headlines. Los Angeles police differ sharply with prosecutor on arrest total. Did you hear me? Huh? Now watch this now. Police officials said today that they have arrested 18,000 people from Wednesday night, April the 29th, through today, through the day the riots begin. Huh? This morning, the prosecutor said they cannot account for 10,000 of these people. We don't know where. We don't know where these people are, said James Hahn, who eventually became mayor. That was the payoff, right? The Los Angeles city attorney. Then he says this, it's a mystery to a lot of people in the system right now, right? Now, so I get to checking around and give me a lead in Portland, Oregon. NAACP guy, I call him. Hey, Brother Greg, I said, oh, yeah, man, I remember that 10,000 black men they brought through here. I said, what was the reason? He said, oh, they was taking them to Goose Bay, Oregon to teach them how to be firefighters. They've been in trouble, no education. You know, we're always ain't never been enough firefighters, right? I mean, forest firefighters, not firemen. Okay? Well, we found out they go to Coos Bay, Oregon, to a Coast Guard hospital where they steal their organs, okay?
Oh, wow.
Did you hear me?
I hear you.
Okay. Now, this is what? Now, when you read this story, you will see, and one of the biggest money makers on this planet is organ stealing, right? When you punch up your computer, punch up Monday, November the 4th, 1996.
Okay.
UCLA sued over its wheeled body program,
Okay.
Family claimed university disposed of the carcasses after they took the organs, okay? When you punch that up, you will see that, okay? And so what we think we see, we don't see, right?
That's right.
And so I just happened to then, I'm the one released the pictures with Ron Brown with the bullet in the back of his head.
Oh, yes, I know you were very much involved in it, because they never did the autopsy.
The reason they couldn't deny it, the white folks that did the autopsy brought the pictures by to me,
Yeah, they were military people, right? They were military folks, right?
Yeah, they were the Armed Forces Institute of Pathology. That's what they did the autopsy, okay? Now, you said you had a question you wanted to ask me?
Oh, yeah, I wanted to share with you. Like, I had talked to Captain Jerry Williams. He was one of the original Black Memphis police officers. But every time Dr. King would come into town, he would be on security detail, except for the last time he wasn't there. And I just keep on getting discrepancies where Dr. King stayed at exactly. Did he always stay at the Lorraine, or did he stay at the Bimbo or the Rivermont?
No. Come on, let me tell you. Let me tell you how it worked. You live in Memphis, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's move you back to 1950.
Okay.
In the 60s, right?
And
so you have a job, you got a family to feed, right?
Yes, sir.
So now integration comes, right? And public accommodations come, right?
Yes, sir.
But now you ain't about to go into a white hotel and let somebody see you and lose your job, right?
Right.
So one of the things we had in the civil rights movement, anytime we went to town, we stayed at the white hotel, okay? And we ate at white restaurants. Now, why? Because the Justice Department was always following us, not the ones that's slipping up on us, but they would see if we was being rejected, right?
Right.
So now Hoover, when the day King was coming back, Hoover released this tape to the good, not as him, but another one, to the good Negro citizens of Memphis. The great black leader says to boycott white businesses, but he himself stays at the Holiday Inn, what was it, Riverfront, right?
Yeah, Riverfront, yeah.
That's what forced him to move. He was on the first floor. It was Andy Young that went, King don't like no first floor. He likes the second floor.
Andy Young did that. Well, I want to say, Captain Jerry Williams, he echoed some of the stuff. This is what he said about who also initiated the change, too. I want you to hear what he had to say and comment on that as well.
Yep.
I want to ask you, where did Dr. King normally stay as far as a hotel? I know there was a controversy. Did he stay at the Lorraine? Was that his hotel that every time he came to Memphis he stayed at, or was that a different hotel?
It was more or less, I've carried him to the Admiral Bimbo Inn hotel here on Union in Memphis. And I do recall that there was somewhat of a controversy because they said that he should live in a black surroundings or something like that. And they didn't particularly care about him staying there, but Jesse Jackson was more or less in charge of that situation, because the man that owned the motel, Mr. Bailey, he told me that Jesse Jackson wasn't paying any bills, and that he didn't leave there paying none of the bills that was accumulated.
Yeah, that's Captain Jerry Williams, one of the first black Memphis police officers who don't be on Dr. King's security detail from the NPD, talking about his hotel arrangements. What do you say to that, Brother Dick?
No, that makes sense. Sure, that makes sense. No, look, the whole thing was a setup to get him there, so when he had to come back in, they could take him out. Okay, all that was prearranged, huh?
Yes, sir.
And there are a whole lot of black folks involved. Some of them might have been judges, okay?
Mhm.
All right? So it's going to be nasty. Mhm. It's going to be nasty. And so, again, you know, people say, well, how do you live? Well, they try to, I've had two of my researchers murdered.
Wow.
They thought they'd kill me one night and kill my driver. I was at Marvin Gaye's wedding and forgot to call Lil and tell her I missed my plane, so she sent my driver to get me. And so they use these folks with mind control, so they were so busy with their mind control, no, just get the nigga in the Rolls Royce, right? They didn't realize it wasn't me. So they killed him, and at 12 now, that night it went out, did Gregory kill, hit and run, homicide.
Oh, wow.
Lil said about an hour later, she don't know nothing about it. A white cop called her from Boston and said, Miss Gregory, I'm a white cop. I can't tell you my name, but your husband was murdered tonight, and they're going to make it look like suicide. That's all I got. She didn't know what he's talking about. Huh? Until she realized I wasn't there. And then I called home and told her, and she told me what happened. But we didn't know they had killed my man, Big Mike, huh? That's the way this stuff works, man. They do it all the time, huh?
Yes, sir.
Another thing I'd like for you to do, and if not, I'll get it for you. In 1950, the CIA was experimenting on LSD, right?
Yes, sir.
And the people they was experimenting on were CIA agents, right?
This
one agent, something happened, and they threw him out the window at the Hilton Hotel in New York and called it suicide. It was many years later when the trial, you can look it up because it was a trial, and we were thrilled, man, that the truth is going to come out, but they settled with the family out of court.
Wow.
This is one of their own, man. They do it all the time, huh? And so when you stop and think about how it works, huh? Let me tell you something. I always thought JFK, that LBJ had something to do with killing JFK.
Oh, yeah.
Until Walter Cronkite, right? Walter Cronkite did a 4-part series, a special, interviewing LBJ in Texas, right? And at one point, LBJ said, I always thought that Lee Harvey Oswald was a loner conspirator. I know better now. Well, I know he wouldn't have said that if he was part of it, right?
Right.
3 days later, LBJ was dead. His wife was in town in Austin. They said he had a heart attack, so she left to meet him. At that time, Austin, Texas had some of the best hospitals in the world, right? She went there waiting. He never showed up. They put him on a helicopter and flew him all the way across the state to Brooke Army Hospital, which was the #1 burn ward in the world. So now when it come time for that serious run, me and Contact was real close, right? That was deleted, right? So I see Cronkite changing planes in Kansas City, and I asked him about it, and he looked at me and he said, well, CBS overruled me. And I looked him in the eye and said, my grandmother, when she see you, she ain't never called CBS Uncle CBS. She calls you Uncle Walter. Okay, this is how the game works, man. I mean, they got. I mean, government people. You think you looking at every night on TV? You think it's just straight people, huh?
I know that the 60 Minutes. They probably promote their consultants who are quote unquote former CIA agents and stuff like that.
And so, so that's what makes you so valuable and so important, man. Is what you able to do. You know about the 3 tramps up on the viaduct, don't you?
Oh yes, I heard about that. I know Hunt. I know his wife Dorothy Hunt would try to extort the Nixon administration over the Watergate thing. I know you helped Frank Wills out a lot in that airplane that went down to Chicago with the news reporter that was on the Watergate thing for anybody else and killed everybody.
With Hunt's wife on it.
Yeah, Hunt's wife, and they, you don't know about
with $10 million in cash.
That's right.
Now, let me tell you what happened. It was the 3 tramps: E. Howard Hunt, Frank Sturgis, and the guy named Raoul.
Right, the same guy with Dr. King's assassination, right? And James O'Ray Connect.
Yeah, you know who Raoul? Did you see the movie White Man Can't Jump?
Yeah, I know Woody Harrelson's father was an assassin.
That was his father.
Wow.
His father killed a federal judge that had found out that Bell Telephone had been letting the CIA tap phones by hooking the pole climbers to drugs and sex and Vegas and all that. Mm-hmm. And he was outraged, man. And it was getting ready. So the vice president of AT&T in Texas committed suicide. And when they killed the federal judge, that was Harrison's daddy, which was Raoul, which was part of the King thing. So now he go crazy. He high. He's telling everybody, there ain't nothing you can do for me. I work for the CIA and the FBI. And so somebody called. He said, call this number and give him my code number. And they called and told him. So they said, put him on the phone. So you really messed up, man. You keep your mouth shut. We'll have somebody in there and fix this tomorrow. So they go in. They said, you messed this thing up so bad. What we're going to do is when it come time for trial, we're going to have your trial changed to San Antonio, Texas, to a friend of ours. A federal judge named William Sessions, who double-crossed him and gave him life in jail, and then William Sessions ended up becoming head of the FBI.
Right, I know that name sounds familiar.
and then when Harrison's daddy was killed in jail, they just said he died from pneumonia. That's how it works. Oh, wow.
Well, brother, I want to play something that a guy that, you talked about Malcolm so fondly, and it was a guy there that actually witnessed y'all special relationship named Brother Roland Shepard. He's a white brother. He was a socialist, or is a socialist. He used to work for the military. He used to work with Malcolm and, look at his speeches at the Forum in New York and also at the Audubon. But this is what he had to say about you witnessing, you interacting with Malcolm. This is Brother Roland Shepard.
Brother Roland, are you there?
Yeah.
We're proud to have on once again Brother Roland Shepard, one of the last living witnesses of the execution, the crucifixion of Brother Malcolm X on February 21st, 1965 at the Audubon Ballroom, and also a journalist and promoted the militant, right? The socialist militant. Is that correct?
I was, at that time, I was associated with the Socialist Workers' Party at the time in the early 60s in New York, and I was selling their paper, The Militant.
All right, cool. I was making sure I don't want to get wrong with the other people that didn't like Malcolm. And we'll talk about that later on. So it's an honor to have you on once again, sir. How you doing today?
I'm doing okay.
Before we get too deep into the Malcolm X assassination, what you know, and all the stuff that needs to be talked about, I'd talk to you about the first time. Can you tell us about the first time you met Dick Gregory in terms of Malcolm X?
Well, he was at the Audubon Ballroom, and Malcolm was talking about people people that were in the audience, and he says, and because Dick Gregory had just written the book, Nigger, and which he said to his mother, whenever you hear that word, you know they're advertising my book. Malcolm said, and now I'd like to introduce my favorite nigger, and he says, Dick Gregory. And Dick Gregory, come on up here. And they were friendly on the stage, and Dick Gregory talked, and he asked, gave the mic to Dick Gregory. And Dick Gregory said, Malcolm, a lot of what you say I agree with. But, as far as giving up my chitlins, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give up my ham hocks. I'm not going to do that either. He just made it laughing. It was kind of funny. It was good-natured humor.
And that was Brother Roland Shepard recalled the first time you knew that you was connected to Malcolm.
Good. Yes, incredible. Thank you. You have such a wealth of information. You see, what you have is real history.
Yes, sir.
You know how valuable that's going to be one day when people who decide to write the history of this movement with no hidden agenda and see the difference between this movement and Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ wasn't recorded. Didn't mean it didn't happen.
Right.
But we got to take somebody else's word for it, huh?
Exactly.
You have lives, huh? you have Billy Kyle saying this. You have so that's what makes it so valuable, huh?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, my brother.
Thank you, Brother Dick Gregory.
I'm sorry. Last week, my wife told you I had dental surgery. It took 8 teeth out, man.
Yeah, but it said the reason why is because you have such a pure body. When you were talking about the weather and stuff, I was thinking about, Mother Nature is trying to detoxify herself. We need to try to detoxify our own body system. And I just it's like going through withdrawals or something.
Yep.
We can have it.
Okay. And so one day we're gonna call. We're gonna do a 2-hour health show with some top health black herbalists.
Yes, sir.
And have people call in.
That'd be great. I'm looking forward to it. I could use that information.
Okay. Okay, now would you do me a favor? When you hang up, what you going to do when you hang up? You got another show to do?
Oh, no, I'm fine.
Call me right back. I need to ask you something.
Yes, sir, I will do that. No problem.
Okay, thank you. I'll be right here.
God bless. Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Mm-hmm.